Let me start with the first principle of high growth potential. So the first principle is called time and place. Now, you might find that pretty strange because when I've talked to people about the businesses that I had over a 20-year period, they would say to me, yeah, Tom, but you were lucky. You know, you were in the United States, you were in the late 80s and 90s, you were in the computer boom, you were in the supply chain optimization boom, you were in the internet boom. Hey, you know, of course it's going to work for you. You know, it's like catching the wave, you know. And I looked at this and I looked at lots and lots of, you know, really high growth companies over a 20 or 30 year period. And what I was able to show was they all caught a wave of some form. Okay? So I was interested in, well, what creates the wave? Because if I could figure out what creates the wave, maybe I could, you know, I could look out there and I could see one coming. It's about where we are on the Gold Coast. You know, we're up on the 25th floor overlooking the ocean. And there's all these guys out there with their boards sitting there with their feet dangling, you know, waiting for the wave to come. And it must be a highly specialised skill because I can never see these waves coming. You know, and all of a sudden there's a big wave behind them and they're up on their board. Well, you know, they're anticipating, they've got a knowledge of what creates this momentum and they're ready to catch it. So for them, time and place is proactive. They know where the waves are going to be created on any one morning. They all pile down there. They all go out there and they wait for the waves. So what I'm interested in doing here is saying, okay, well, what creates waves? And can we be proactive and can we find them? So what creates waves? I can almost tell you without exception, waves are created by change. So if we've got a stable environment, then you are not going to get a wave. You're not going to get something that's suddenly going to stimulate some companies to get going. So what are the sort of changes we're looking at? Well, look around you. Natural and man-made disasters, fantastic waves. I mean, look at the growth in security systems and products and organisations coming from Bali and from 9/11. Everybody wants in on it. You know, there's just tons of businesses. Look at even the businesses that create out of emergency relief with the tsunami and with the various natural crises we've had around the world. So they are great ones. We've also got technology. Well, it's easy. When I look historically, computer development, hardware, disk drives, memory, internet, graphics capability, all of these were major technological changes that created a wave, a tsunami of new firms coming into the marketplace. Fascinating insight into this was a number of years ago. You might remember AOL was, you know, the first company really to develop sort of email processes and so on and internet access in the States for people to log into the internet. AOL, a few years into its early growth cycle, was worth more than the top 5 airline carriers in the world. I mean, we're talking Qantas, BA, American Airlines, I mean, United. Can you imagine an internet company, you know, because effectively was an internet company or service company, was worth more than the top 5 airline companies in the world. And of course, you know, they've crashed and burned somewhat now, but they did a smart thing. They went and bought Time Warner, so, you know, they've got their money in bricks and mortar. But, you know, that just gives you an example of, you know, something that just created an enormous wave. So that's one of the other changes are economic. Change the interest rate, it's a change. Change the housing starts, it's a change. Put a stimulus package in, it's a change. Well, wasn't such a great change, you know, because we messed up a bit, but did create a lot of employment at the time. Change demographics, change the number of immigrants we have, or change the birth rate, and we change the characteristics of our society and our economy. Change our value system. You know, let's move towards a green economy. You change the value system and people start putting money in different places. So all of these are changes. Change the size of a marketplace and it creates change for someone. So what we have to do is we have to look for changes. We have to look for changes that are occurring now or changes that can be anticipated to occur. So here's some great questions. So each of these principles has what is it, questions to ask, and some actions we can take. So here's some interesting questions. You know, the thing that creates lots of work for everybody and lots of change is always regulations. Regulations always create new needs, and they often create new companies, and there certainly are waves that people catch. Use customer complaints to ask what's going on. How are people using my product? How are people using my competitors' products? And therefore, how can I improve my situation? Have they identified a need that is untapped? You know, the untapped need is a great place to go. What's happening in technology in my industry? Not just the stuff that I can see now, but actually what's happening overseas. There are numerous businesses that have been enormously successful in Australia by going overseas and picking up new innovations and bringing them back to Australia, and they create great businesses just by doing that. But what's the effect of technology? What is technology that's coming? I saw a report in the paper yesterday that up to 40% of adults that were interviewed around new technology had the intention in the next year of buying a smartphone or an equivalent to an iPad. What a huge difference. And now, of course, now we've got just huge demand for apps. I mean, there's so many apps around there, you can't find your way through it. But go back a few years, no apps, wasn't even a marketplace. And now it's a huge worldwide marketplace created by a new technology. Where are the demand-supply gaps? This is always going to happen in every industry. So where is the trends in your industry, and where are there going to be problems of supply? Can you either get in now, or can you anticipate them and either buy the capability in or develop it? And always look for trends. So here's some actions. So the first action in time and place is to be proactive. You simply have to ask questions. And in fact, every person in your organisation should be involved in asking these questions. What's happening? What are our competitors doing? What do our customers want? What is the new technology that's happening? What are the new trends that are occurring in our industry? And now, not only how does this affect us, but how do we take advantage of it? That's the key. Get into the networks, read the trade journals. The stuff that goes on in any industry that you need to tap into. You need to be networked, you need to talk to people, and particularly if you can, you need to go to these conferences and these exhibitions overseas, because stuff happens everywhere. And often what you'll see is something happening somewhere else which hasn't come here, and you can take advantage of that change. Have a look at what your competitors are doing. You know, don't be surprised. And always look for regulations. Regulations are about compliance, and compliance is about things that you need to have, not would like to have. And compliance always drives business. So compliance is a great place to be. So that's action. So you can see that time and place is not luck and timing. It's proactive. It's understanding that change drives growth. And it's either going to drive your growth or it's going to drive your competitors' growth. And you need to be proactive in making time and place work for you.